Okay, and the final question we've had today: how can I, and this is from a bereaved dad, be more accepting of others when they don't include my son who died in cards, or family just don't seem to recognise him as a person? Okay, so this is another really important question, and I know I've seen that Oscar's Wish share things, especially at Christmas, that say, include my child in the card, and I found that was a really helpful way around Christmas time. I'd share that so friends and family knew, and I definitely had an increase in the amount of people that recognised her. I think people don't know whether to include them or not. People feel a bit awkward, and sometimes it's like we've said with some of the other questions we've had today, sometimes they look for you on the lead for what to do. So sometimes you need to say to people, oh, I'd really like it if you included my son or my daughter, or if you say their name and say, oh, I find it really sad when I get a card and Oscar's name isn't in it, or whatever your child might be called isn't in the card. And it's something you could share, like the Facebook post, as we've said. It might be that it's a conversation you have separately with someone. Maybe you text them, maybe a friend speaks to them about it. But I think it's unlikely to change unless you're able to say to people, I'd really like my son to be included more. I feel really sad that he's not included. And I think this is obviously from a dad. I think sometimes people assume females are more chatty and more talkative, and sometimes I think there is less acknowledgement around dads. Especially with friends, if you go for chat down the pub, not in current situation obviously, but pre-COVID and hopefully post-COVID again soon, if you're with friends, they're unlikely to bring that up as a topic of conversation. It's more likely to be chats about football or the news or current affairs, etc., than to talk about something that's a bit more in depth. Or I think that's cultural society's view. That's not necessarily how it should be. So I think I would try and address that. I think, as you said, with family members, especially in that situation, I really would try and have a conversation in some way with that family member, because otherwise it's going to upset you or make you angry every single time they don't recognise them as a person. So for me, I try to kind of lead by example a little bit. So when I sign cards, I will sign my Jessica's name. When I sign them off, I have a photo up. When we do a family photo shoot, for example, I have my picture of Jessica in. I know Gemma has Oscar there in hers. There's a kind of memento, and she's kind of always present. That other people then kind of lead by that. I talk about her, I include her. So I think other people then recognise that that's kind of how I want to do things. But for some people, that's enough. They'll pick up on your cues. For others, you need to actually say to them, like, actually, I feel like, you don't really recognise Oscar or Jessica or whatever your child's name is, or, I'd like him to be thought of more. I'd like him to be included in cards, or, I know of people who've said, they've had grandparents who say, oh, I've got 5 grandchildren, and actually they've got 6, and they've not included the child that died. And it's, sometimes it's important to say, well, actually you've got 6, or, or don't forget Oscar in that number, or, again, whatever your child's called. So I think that's been the theme of the 3 questions that have been asked today, is around people getting it wrong. And sometimes, I think most of the time, it is with the best of intentions that they say things or do things, but actually it's not the right thing for us. And the only way that people can learn to do the right thing for us and to recognise our child more, talk about them more, be more accepting, not be awkward around us, those kind of things, is actually if we lead in some way and tell them what it is that we want or need. I hope that's helpful. If not, or with any of the questions today, please feel free to send me a message if there's something you want more clarity on, or let Gemma know, or pop on and we can have kind of a more lengthy discussion in the next group. Okay, take care. Bye.